Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasdy, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello everyone and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. I'm your host Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner, operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. Now, if you are familiar with our show, what we do is we take a single individual film and we kind of critique, analyze, and discuss this film, or in otherwise have a great conversation between me and my special guest. This being said, my special guests are always different, so you never know what you're going to get from one episode to the next, which makes each and every episode of our show unique and an experience. Now, that being said, we're going to go ahead and introduce our two guests for today because we want to get right into the meat and potatoes of the film we're talking about today. And I want to bring on my special guests, which is Jim Adams and Dave Watkins. Thank you guys for joining us on the show today.
Oh, Thanks for having us on, man.
Let's get into the meat of this one, man.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I'll tell you right up front, I love this movie.
Well, that is Jim Adams for everyone listening, and we're going to get into one of his favorite films, which is The Brides of Dracula from 1960. I guess we might as well start off with you, Jim, and get your kind of instincts and the kind of outlook on this film and how...
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little history, too. I mean, look, I first saw this when I was, probably, I think I was less than 10 years old when I saw it. This made the circuit, heavily made the circuit on the monster movie circuit in the 60s. And I think we talked about Revenge of Frankenstein earlier. And this came out I saw these about the same time. So this is like some of my first exposure to Hammer films at all. And it has no brides and it has no Dracula, which makes it really unique. But this was one that was originally going to be a sequel to The Horror of Dracula. And Hammer was so excited about how successful horror was, not only in Great Britain, but in the United States. They get Jimmy Sangster and say, write us a sequel to Dracula. They had an idea about an acolyte to Dracula and all of that. And then Christopher Lee says, no, I don't want to do it. But they had Peter Cushing. So they said, okay, we got to go back and change gears here a little bit. And it took them a while. And just before they actually went into production, $281,000, the equivalent of $281,000 budget. So a pretty good budget for back then in 1960. They had a character called Baron Meinster who was going to be the disciple of Dracula in their original sequel. And then he becomes the main vampire in this one. And there are some women in there, so I guess those are technically the brides. But it's funny when you read about what they had to go through and all the last second stuff they did and all the rewriting they did while they were shooting. It's amazing this film turned out as well as it did. But I think it's Hammer's strongest vampire film. And if what I just described sounded like another film that they did, they used bits and pieces of the original script in later films. A lot of it sounds very similar to Dracula, Prince of Darkness, when they did get Christopher Lee and had a little acolyte in there who brought him back to life. And so if you watch that film, that's sort of what Brides was going to be before Lee said, nope, not going to do it. So they had to wait 6 years before they could make that film.
it's such a good title, like Brides of Dracula.
It
But
is.
it is funny, like a lot of these Hammer films, the titles don't match what happens on screen. It's like it's just like there's like
Marketing.
this is a marketing title. It's so
Yeah.
odd, but it's funny how you could look at some of the other titles and you could change them to another movie and it would work for it.
Oh
But,
yeah. Because I think the working title of this one was Dracula 2.
yeah,
They just decided they didn't want to lose the name from the title because it was a selling point,
yeah.
even though Dracula never really shows up.
Right. Yeah, that is bizarre that he's not in it, and it is good that they get Peter Cushing back as Van Helsing, but he doesn't
Yes.
show up until with this hour and 25-minute film. He showed it was about 30 minutes into it or something like that. And
Yeah, and then
same thing in the first one.
then he
though.
dominates the film. Yeah,
Yeah,
again, he's
yeah.
just what a great character that is.
Well,
Yeah.
this was, I can't remember when I actually saw this for the first time, but when I did see it, I do remember the fact that it didn't have Dracula, yet it was called Brides of Dracula, and that kind of ruined it for me, because I was like, well, Dracula's not in this movie. And so, for the longest time, I didn't care for this movie at all, because like, Dracula.
You're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel that way, and it's ironically the original script only had Dracula was only going to be in there as a cameo. That was going to center around this disciple or this acolyte of Dracula. So it was,
Was it-
sort of ironic that, but Lee just says, I'm going to get typecast. I don't want to do this anymore.
So, in the original script, was it a flashback, the scenes with him? Because he at the end of the first one, he does get completely destroyed.
That's
Obviously,
right,
they
that's
bring
right.
him back later, but
Yeah, that's exactly, because it was going to pick up, when we last saw Dracula in Horror of Dracula, he was just a pile of dust sort of blowing in the wind.
well,
And if you remember, if you've seen Dracula Prince of Darkness, you have this little acolyte who has the dust, or the what's left of Dracula, and then he mixes it with some blood and brings him back, which is that's really what they were going to do in this originally. But
and that's the way it should go. Really, bringing Dracula back, but I'm not opposed to this. It is like kind of weird that Dracula's not in it, and there are some women that is weird, but it is a little off-putting it's weird. You saw this one in Revenge of Frankenstein when you were really young, and they left a really big impression on you upon seeing them.
Huge, and it's such a good story.
Yeah,
That's what I think. That's what really, as a kid, I just every time this movie came on, I had to watch it. I just loved this film, and I still and to this day, I tell people I still think. They say, "What's your favorite, or what's the best vampire film ever made?" And I said, "Well, this is pretty close."
So,
I mean, it's dated, but it's still. I think it's one of the strongest vampire films that's ever been made out there.
Well,
I'm really into the Dracula legend from the book and stuff. So I don't go in for the modern interpretations very much. Some I do, but
I like a period piece with a Dracula.
Yes,
the
period
I like
stuff.
it. I like that film. It was a nice. I guess it takes place in Transylvania is what it seems like.
Yes, it does.
And I like the village and the bar there. It's called the Running Boar Inn. It's cool. They keep revisiting that in different parts of the film, and when they come back to it every time, it's like something different about the place. You learn about it.
And they were reusing sets from. They had just shot the Rasputin, the Mad Monk, which did have Christopher Lee in it.
Yeah.
So if some of the places look familiar, it's why because they had to save some money because they had to really scramble, counter and move with the with Christopher Lee's backing out of the project.
Yeah, but I like the location that's just used in this film.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Going back to it, and it's not just it's not just the Van Helsing and the priest's little get together spots. It's also like the opening with what's the main character's name now? I can't even think of her name.
Marianne, I believe.
Marianne.
Marianne.
She first shows
the
up.
teacher. Yeah,
she's supposed to be the teacher at a school, and she ends up at that bar, and everyone in that bar is trying to get her to leave as fast as she can.
Yeah.
This
I love the setup. I love it.
I really like to say it is kind of almost like Jonathan Harker character from the first Dracula, the way that she comes into it to be a teacher, and she ends up there. I mean, it's obviously different, but she kind of serves that purpose for for a while at the beginning of the film.
And we'll see, and that's a recurring theme. Again, they'll do it again 6 years later in Prince of Darkness, where you've got two couples that are touring through that part of Romania, and they stop at this inn bar or whatever, and partying for the night, and so they use that quite a bit as a vehicle.
Yeah, unlike the original Dracula, the character survives until the end of the film, end of the novel. I mean, but in the first Dracula, horror Dracula, he gets killed within the first 30 minutes. But but Marianne actually goes through the film.
But they sort of mix him up with they sort of combine him with Renfield a little bit and whatever.
Renfield in the book is not. He's actually just in the sanitarium, but
he's one of the. I know it's.
It gets kind of in the play. In the play, they actually switch him with Jonathan Harker.
They do. Because we did this. Yeah, I did the Baldwin stage play.
Yeah, you did it
back in my early theater days.
What character did you play in it?
Van Helsing.
Oh yeah. Already.
That was always my dream. It was always my dream role.
Yeah, it's a good role.
They asked me to direct it, and I said, "Yeah, if I could play Van Helsing."
Yeah,
and it's the biggest part. I didn't take it. I didn't realize how big the part was in the play until I agreed to that. It's like 300 some lines.
Really,
it was great.
Yeah, he doesn't come in until was it in the second act or something like that?
Yeah, they do one. Yeah, it's just about the beginning of Act 2 when he shows up.
Well, that makes sense though that he has more. I never thought about it that way because most of the other characters don't have as much dialogue, and he monologues a little.
Yeah,
bit.
It pretty much centers around Van Helsing and Dracula, which Hammer tried to do with their films.
Right.
Well,
in this case, now it's Van Helsing and the Baron Meinster.
Yeah. But this the Marianne character starts off when she's in a carriage, which the Hammer films had those carriages. I guess they had access to them. That they usually in the fairy pieces they had them. They look pretty cool. But they did have
cool.
Yeah. They do have a little bit of sketchy green screen on when they do a close up of the driver, and it almost happens even when Van Helsing's doing it later. But the driver's played by an actor who's in a bunch of these. Like he's always playing a smaller part as Michael Ripper. Yeah. Oh, wow. He gets pretty big. I mean, not huge billing on the opening, but he always ends up in the opening, and he plays a character who's
always
in there
does
for one scene or something.
There's a bunch of people my age. We are like the Michael Ripper fan club. Every Hammer film ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd show up in every monster sci-fi film out of Great Britain.
You got to have him in there. Yeah,
he was sort of like the equivalent of Dwight Fry here. Although Ripper lived a lot longer than Dwight Fry did. But.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So that and then the carriage ride it ends up being a log in the middle of the road. That I guess there's a character here you see in that scene that you never see again, other than after the bar sequence. It's like a familiar character who looks pretty cool looking, really, and he comes out of the woods and hitchhikes on there with him.
Yeah.
But what do you make of that you don't see him again?
I was going to ask you that same question.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, obviously he I mean, go ahead, Kevin. Interrupt you there.
Well, no. I was going to say I thought it was really odd that he hitches a ride on the carriage and he gets into town and he just watches Marianne, and then of course when the Baroness or
before that
I think the guy is he's
familiar.
He works with the Baron and the Baroness. I think he gets some women.
Yeah. But it's weird. Yeah, it's weird. You think they at least have a fight with him later or something, but there's like a
but he's not a vampire, but he's human. He's a human acolyte or whatever, and. He says, "Oh, okay, there's one for him. Yeah, we can get that one for the Baron." And
what's funny though, they're all sitting in the bar. She goes into the bar or the inn, and then he busts in, stares everybody down, and leaves. Yeah. Everyone's like, "Okay, let's get out of here. That's it."
He leaves, and then
they got to set the table for the Baroness showing up.
Yeah. It's a cool sequence though. It's just like everybody's just like, oh hell, it's on. Let's go.
Yeah, well, that's when you start realizing how contrived it all was. It's like, wait a minute, this was all planned out. I mean, these guys, there's something really nefarious about this whole situation here.
Because that money changes hands with the carriage driver.
Oh yeah. Of course, Ripper's like, yeah, sure, it's yours.
but after that, I'm like you guys. I was like, wait, he doesn't show up again? I was like, that just seems a little odd, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess you really don't need him after that.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess you don't. But you think it, I mean, I guess sometimes throughout this film, though, there's a lot of changes that happen with characters. There's a lot of side characters who you see briefly in certain sections of the film, and then you don't see them again. And it probably happens about 5 times during the film. And there's some very interesting characters who could have. There's actually some scenes, especially later in the film, when where like Van Helsing's just talking with a new doctor. It's like that's the scene that could have happened in the first act.
Yeah, and you'll recognize him from Horror of Dracula because he played a doctor.
He's in that one. Yeah,
I don't know whether it's the same doctor or not. I think he's supposedly Miles Maller is the name of the actor.
Yeah.
But he's a little more comically centered in this one. He's sort of the comic relief.
I think that's his scenes are the only comedic scenes in the entire film.
Pretty much. Yeah. He's the hypochondriac doctor.
But
it makes sure that he gets paid and not Van Helsing. Yeah.
Oh, and he wants it. Yeah, he wants it. That means I can get the fee. Huh? He hasn't done anything.
Yeah. But it's like that kind of character, though. I mean, that's obviously I guess they're trying to figure it out while they were going. But that would be a character that would be, better if it was established earlier on and played through the film. But I mean, what we got's nice. But it's a great character though, and it would have been nice to see him play it. But the way that it's structured and it follows Marianne for the first act, which is awesome. At first, that whole seeing her point of view of what happens. And before switching to Van Helsing is really, I really like the whole setup. But it's funny. She goes into the bar, and the guy comes up to her, and it's like, first of all, they try to get her out, and then they finally sit her down, and they go offer some food. There, you want some? They got sauerbraten and sauerkraut, and then it's like, okay, that sounds pretty good. And then they bring it out.
Sounded good to me.
They put it on the table. She never eats any of it.
I know.
They're trying to get her out of there,
just when she gets to eat some of these, when the Baroness shows up, everybody takes off.
Yeah.
Then you hear the carriage before the guy could lock the door, and
when the Baroness comes in, does all intents and sits down and then wants wine. And then she wants her to come to the table with her, and she leaves her sauerbraten at the table.
Yes,
that I guess she really didn't want it. That was all they had, and she was like, I'm not feeling it, because later on she eats when she goes to the Baroness's house.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too.
Yeah, I guess that
she's a lot better at the castle.
Yeah. I guess that's why she's able to. She's like probably was trying to get away from that food to begin with. She probably wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah.
But I was like, when I hear that, I'm like, that sounds delicious. I'm like,
I know, man. I can get into some sauerbraten and stuff. Yeah, but I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, once she's at the castle, it turns to a different type of film because Marianne's not there for any particular reason. Only then she's going to be leaving the next day to go to the school.
The Baroness has offered to take her since the coachman mysteriously took off without her.
Yeah. But it does show the familiar Michael Ripper's character.
Oh, no, I'm just saying. I'm saying that very sarcastically. It's like, whoa,
Right. I mean, I guess like their plan was, which I believe this would be the plan, is they were planning on just like feeding her to the other vampire, even though I'm assuming that was the plan, because it never really works, right?
The Baroness, and she mentions this later on in the movie, how she supplies women.
Okay, yeah.
For her son.
That's how
right.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her but it kind of backfires on them. But I wonder, because she goes in. I wonder, because she goes in and finds the other vampire, the Meister, Baron Meister, and he's chained up.
Right.
And he probably could kill her there, but instead he sees an opportunity to be released. So I wonder
that's all that's on his mind. Once he's free, then he can do whatever he wants.
I wonder how they were. I mean, it's like if so. The other women, why they weren't, he wasn't able to trick them into releasing him, or I don't know. That's some stuff is never explained because we don't know how exactly they were going to feed her to him to
Yeah,
begin
we don't.
with.
We don't really know that.
So,
Yeah, it's a good question that I had never thought of.
Yeah, I
That
needed that.
that he basically all these other missing women that he's obviously killed.
yeah,
But
yeah,
her he saw as a way to get away from his mother
yeah.
and
Well, I
had
kind
him
of
chained
always
up.
saw that whole sequence as the overbearing mother who knows her son is evil but can't do anything about it because she's
Yeah,
obligated towards him. So she feeds him, but she also keeps him locked up.
yeah. Well, they pose an interesting story about vampirism because in horror we get more of we don't really get a story as to why Dracula became Dracula. Not like you get in the book or whatever, but in this one, she paints the picture that the son is like a hedonist, it's parties, women, wine, and all kinds of, debauchery and stuff going on, and that sort of cursed him into becoming this vampire that he's become. And she blames herself because she sort of let him get away with it. She never stopped it or whatever. So it's an interesting dynamic in there that I remember even as a kid, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this isn't like the other Dracula movies I've seen. This is different.
Yeah.
This is really different.
That Baroness character is very unique.
Oh,
but,
she's great. Yeah.
Because it's like an older lady.
Yeah.
And then you're not expecting that, and she comes in. She is like a higher end person. Like she seems like a rich person or aristocrat. Yeah,
Yeah, she's an aristocrat for sure. Yeah.
And so it's very very like very dynamic performance and for that type of character like that, something you wouldn't expect in this because especially for Brides of Dracula, you're thinking you're going to see some younger women in it.
Yeah. Which we do when we get to the school. But,
yeah, right. Yeah. You do. You see a couple later on, but I'm not saying that I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's like is this the Bride of Dracula? Is what you're thinking.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. You never really. There really never is a.
Oh, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Well, unless later on when the Baron gets with with the school teacher.
Yeah.
And says this is my fiance or whatever. I guess technically now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
They never consummate the marriage, but I mean they never get married.
Right. Yeah. I think. I mean, it's the Baron has, I guess, as Dracula, he has got several different powers. That one of them is putting her in kind of a trance-like state to fall in love with
Oh,
him.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Because because she knows he's dangerous, she does escape him the first time. But he
Yeah.
actually doesn't try to kill her the first time when they're at the house. She escapes everyone else there.
No, his concern is revenge on his mother and just getting loose.
Right. And there's also
He can always come back and get her.
There's another character at the castle. I guess the maid. Freda's the actor's
Oh,
name.
Freda Jackson. Yeah.
Greta's the character's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
one of the most incredible laughs
Yeah.
ever in a movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my God.
There's your Renfield right there. It's
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Again, that's another unique choice that as you're watching it, you wouldn't. Great performance in her eyes, but it's not the type of. She doesn't. I mean, she does have a sex appeal in a certain way, but not in the way that you would expect from like a vampire film.
Yeah.
But it's a cool character, and she plays it like Renfield's a good. Yeah, that is Renfield pretty much.
Yeah, definitely an influence there.
I didn't see that from the first part of her, but when she's at the grave of the one.
Oh no, it's when she goes nuts. When she you let him loose, and she's going. All she can do is laugh and just. He's gone. Oh.
Yeah.
I definitely saw the Renfield there. Up until that point, she just seemed like a normal housemaid / servant, but yeah.
But I think maybe
the Baroness has told this horrible story about why she keeps her son chained and all that stuff, and of course, and Greta is there to watch over the Baroness and all that stuff, so that is it Miriam? I always forget her name.
I think it's Marianne.
Or Marianne, yeah.
There might be a different pronunciation of it, though. I think it's
she's trying to put it all together and all that stuff. That they're trying to tell her, he's dangerous. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
Stay away from him. And of course, like any normal person, just like, oh, I want this guy.
She falls for him because she finds him chained up, and
he tells her where the key is, and she's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go get it."
And she thinks that she's doing a good deed.
She thinks that the mother must be a little wacko, or and that
which she is, but not.
She is, thinks, but I mean, but he comes across as this very quiet. Yeah. He's very attractive. David Peel's the actor who this would be like the last movie he would make. He got out of the business really young. Oh. Done a lot of TV work up until this point. Did this and this, decided to get out. Now he was a big antiques dealer in Great Britain. Just got out of the acting thing altogether. So,
he has a good presence in here as the vampire.
Presence,
yeah.
I mean, it's obviously disappointing not seeing Christopher Lee, but he's like a younger, I guess like Christopher. I'm not sure how old Christopher Lee, but he does look older in the
Lee was probably at least 10 years older than he was.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember, but I think they're about 10 years apart. But definitely David Peele had the seductive aspects, the hypnotic seduction type aspects that you would need for that character, and it worked really well.
That's what I was about to say. He's a much more seductive and sexually alluring character than Christopher Lee's Dracula.
Christopher Lee was more powerful.
Yeah.
Which is why he can coax Marianne and get her to be his bride, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure when and if he was using his powers on her, like he probably did with her roommate / friend at the school.
Oh my God, Andrea Maley, who appears in like every publicity picture for this movie.
Yeah. She looks great. She looks great as a vampire.
Oh my God, she looks like a rabid weasel. It's great. It was so cool. She was like our favorite character in this whole movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, I have to see that, but
and she's the one that climbs out of the grave, which is sort of cool. Oh no, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. The one climbing out of the grave is a girl from the town that once Baron Meinster has been freed, he kills somebody's daughter in town, and then that's where we see Frida Jackson where they go, say, come on. And best scene in the whole movie up until that point. I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh my God, see the hand come up and she's going, come on, you can do it. And so that's how they do that. Oh my God, it was.
Yeah, that is a cool,
great scene.
Even though in traditional Hammer form, the grave's like maybe 6 inches deep or something.
Yeah, it's like
maybe a foot at the most.
I know, we've all noticed that. It's like, it's all right. We'll live.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bury their dead coffins. They just let them just bury them in dirt.
Yeah. But that's another interesting thing about when they return, which we haven't talked about the segue between this, but when they return to the end, the running board end.
Oh yeah.
And when the girl is at that time when they get there, the second part of it has an adjoining room where they have a casket there with the girl in it.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny that it takes place in the same place. So they have I guess they only have one structure. It also serves as a place for mourners to put coffins and hang around and.
With the stables, basically.
Yeah. But what happens before that happens?
That is a cool scene too.
Yeah. I really like the return to the running board and how friendly it is during the day compared to what happens at night, and it's a very strong contrast between that because at night she gets there and she's kind of oblivious to everything that's going on, but everybody else leaves, and it's like an ominous. Even like the innkeepers they're like squirrely, and you're like, okay. At first, they're like, tell her that there's no room. They don't have a room, which all they had to do was say they had a room, and everything probably would have been okay. Maybe I guess they probably would have gotten her anyway. But then when the Baroness shows up, they're like, you know what? We got a room now. You can stay with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the innkeepers obviously they're not they don't like what's going on, but they don't want to like insert themselves into it too much because they
No,
know
they're terrified. I mean,
it's killed.
this is a place of evil up there on the hill. I mean, they absolutely terrified.
But then when Van Helsing shows up there, they're accommodating to him, and they seem a little excited about him being there. And the innkeeper's wife specifically seems to be very
Oh yeah,
friendly.
well the priest, I mean, had written them and said, "Thank God you're here," because they knew what they were dealing with. It'd been quiet. They thought he was dead. They thought that
The Baron
was dead because the Baroness had said that, but there was still that pall that hung over the town that it was never. And you'll see that in a couple other Hammer films that come after this, where the vampire had lived and they supposedly destroyed him, but did they or didn't they?
Right.
And, so I think when Van Helsing shows up, it's like, okay, wait a minute, here's someone that might know how to fight this thing. Definitely when the girl from the town gets killed, they know the marks. They know, everybody knew.
Yeah.
What it was.
That scene where they have to be convinced of the existence of vampires.
Right. They know. They know.
No,
yeah.
they know. Yeah.
Very similar to what we would see later on down the road in Dracula's Risen from the Grave, the town in that one.
Yeah.
Even though he was supposedly dead or destroyed, it was like they just waited. It was going to be something that was going to happen eventually, and it did.
Yeah, the very superstitious type of people who have a reason to be that way.
Had all the garlic in the end and stuff.
Yeah. But so what happens after Marianne escapes the castle, which Baron doesn't attack her, he leaves to go attack the other woman in the village, but he for some reason doesn't go after her at that point. I guess
no, he doesn't. I think he's dealing with his mother.
Right. He kills the mom. She comes in and finds the mom killed, but then she runs through the night, and then the sun comes up.
He converts her.
Yeah.
He makes her one of him or one of his.
The mom. Yeah, that's right.
The mother becomes a vampire.
Yeah. He kills the. I mean, I guess Frida or Greta says that, played by Frida Jackson, says that the mom's dead, but she's actually she's going to come back as a vampire later on. But that's when she runs. The Marianne character runs through the woods, and then at that point, she passes out, and it's daylight, and that's when Van Helsing finds her laying on the ground.
Her that morning.
This introduction to Van Helsing, which seems a little random that he shows up, and then later on we found out that the priest called him there.
Right.
But I mean, it's definitely a welcome thing. I think originally I was reading about something about this. I don't know exactly the details, but originally they had a different character finder, but then they're like, we're just going to write this is Van Helsing when they got Peter Cushing involved.
They had to cut some corners. Yeah.
They
had to save some. It was a financial thing.
Right.
They were strapped on this one. They were on a tight budget.
But I think it's a cool introduction to Van Helsing.
Yeah, I like
in
it.
the film.
It works for me.
And in the fact that later on it's like the priest, it kind of brings it all together that he's there, and it doesn't make it such a coincidence that he just happened to be Van Helsing.
No. I mean, he was headed there to begin with.
Well, I like the fact that it was a priest that called him to begin with. So
yes,
you have a church and a small town that believes in those superstitions, and they're able to call on Van Helsing, and he comes out to assist.
Yeah.
I like that concept because you don't see that very often. It's usually the person in the church who doesn't believe in stuff like that.
That's true.
So
that's the one thing in a lot of these Hammer films. Like the town priest or something, it doesn't need any convincing. Like in some of the other vampire films we've seen where you've got to convince everybody. I'm thinking like Count Yorga and some of those is like, you crazy? Those are vampires.
I guess it makes it easier that everybody in the town's gone through it already, so they don't have to be convinced.
Yeah.
Really, like the only person that has to be convinced of anything is Marianne, and she I guess she doesn't like, because she encounters the what's happening. She doesn't necessarily have to become convinced because she becomes kind of entranced by the whole thing. And it's kind of hard to get a feel for her or even a good take on her, because you kind of understand her a little bit at first, but then she becomes entranced. So you never quite. I never quite got the right feel on her. What do you make of the character?
Oh, I think she's totally under his spell. I mean, you know,
Is she
once she meets the Baron, he's got her under control.
Do you think when she first meets the Baron at the castle, at the Baron's castle, or later when the Baron comes to?
I mean, I think it starts where he plays on her sympathies when he's still chained up.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the Baroness does come off as a very aggressive, sort of tough. You know, everybody in the town is in the inn and stuff is afraid of her, and all that stuff. So so he's taking advantage of that because he's like this nice, handsome guy, who just happens to have this big chain. You know, where she's horrified when she goes down there and sees that he's actually chained up. Yeah. I mean, at that point, she just thinks he's just sort of locked in the room or whatever. It's separate, you know, from where the mother is, and so, you know, she plays right into it. I mean, you know, he's got her. I mean, hook, line, and sinker. And I think once they're in the same room together, and the thing where his eyes are great, and this is David Peele's eyes are phenomenal in this. I think he's got her then. You know, at that point, you know, he's got her under his spell.
What's weird is like not necessarily weird. It actually makes sense, but it adds a little different layer to it. Is when she teams up with Van Helsing briefly, it kind of seems like that's not the case until it is the case again. Well, I guess it makes it a bit of a layer because as a viewer, you're following that character, and then you think that she's scared of a vampire, but then even Van Helsing at that point, like she sees that he's killed. She assumes he killed the mom, and so he helps her, and then at that point you think she's on like Team Vampire Hunter, but then it turns out she's not for a while, you know.
She's left alone, and then he shows up at the school, and it's whoa. And of course it doesn't help that the Meinsterns own all that property, and they own the school. And technically, the Baron was their landlord, you know. So this tough school headmaster is like, "Oh yeah, whatever you want. Oh, you're in," you know. And of course, the wife is going crazy because they're in love and they're going to get married.
Yes, I know.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? You know.
And that's another one of those things where you suddenly see these very interesting characters played by some great character actors, and it's like I guess the whole reason, I mean, there's a reason for the scene, but it's just funny how they have these really strong scenes with like a lot of dialogue all of a sudden for some characters who aren't necessarily in it that much. You see them another time later on. But I mean, the scene's important because you do see the influence that the vampire has.
Nice contrast. Nice contrast. But it's funny because then Van Helsing shows up and he finds out she's engaged. He goes, "Oh, wow, who's the?" And it's like, what? Wait a minute. The phone here, lady.
Because Van Helsing goes and does his own, like he gets rid of her. He basically saves her. Well, I guess not necessarily saves her. He finds her on the road and then helps her back into town, brings her to the school, and then he goes on and does his own investigation, not thinking that she is the investigation.
He never thinks there's going to be a connection.
Yeah. But I guess he follows the dead body at the
Yes.
I don't remember. I think Maria or something like that. It was
I think
maybe
it's Maria too. I think I wrote it down as Maria.
Oh, Maria, you mean the roommate or whatever? Yeah.
Oh, Maria's. No, I was thinking about the other girl who.
The one in the town was Maria. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the gal's name. That
Gina.
Andrea.
Gina.
Yeah.
Andrea Maley plays because it. You know, she's alone for like 5 seconds, and boom, guess who shows up? And well, she's gone.
Yeah.
Well, this is a different film in that we're not the Dracula or the Vampire Meister is not trying to get to this bride so early in the film. So we have to see the Maria character, who's the town lady first, get taken in.
Well, she was dinner, I think.
Yeah, she was.
Had to take care of that first.
And then next, he moves closer to her by getting to Gina, and then of course he ends up sucking the marrow out of her body with our main character, Marianne, and then Van Helsing. Is it Van Helsing who sees those marks on her first?
Oh, yeah. No, he's the one that spots them every time. Yeah, it's the first place he looks because he's suspicious that. Well, I mean, you know, okay, now another young woman who just mysteriously dies is like, okay, I've been here before. I know what's going on here.
Well, that's the one great thing about this film is they don't have to, you don't have to have those conversations between characters to
that's right.
explain all this. Because as the audience member, we already know it, and so they're not wasting time explaining it to us again.
Right, exactly.
It starts off with Van Helsing and the priests when they're just having a normal conversation instead of actually saying vampires this, vampires that. Do you believe in vampires? Well, the history of vampires is this, blah blah blah, and we're not getting all that type of information again.
Right.
Yeah.
The only time he has any kind of controversy at first with the priest is the father wanted his daughter buried in consecrated ground. And the town people's like, no way.
Yeah.
And Van Helsing says, no, of course we can. And the priest is like, and he says, meet me there tonight. And then, of course, the priest, for the first time, sees, what he should. Well, the priest screws it up. Sees her coming out of the grave, and and then it really hits him. It's like, wow, this really is for real. I mean, you sort of feel like the priest sort of believes, but until he sees it,
right.
Sees this woman crawling, that's supposedly dead, crawling out of her grave. And then, of course, he comes flying in. They're like, evil, 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 and just gives it just enough time for her to get away. And Van Helsing, you idiot.
Yeah.
God, why didn't you just let me do what I was supposed to do? So now they've got another one on the loose, in addition to the Baron.
So now you got, So, then I think around that time you see for the first time the vampire turns into a bat.
Yes.
Which doesn't happen in the horror of Dracula.
No, it doesn't. In fact, Van Helsing specifically says in his little tape recorder, says something about, the stories about them being able to turn into wolves or bats is not true, but he finds out that's not true. because now you've got the one that crawled out of the grave and the Baron turning into bats and flying off.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. She does turn into a bat.
That's the worst part of the whole movie, unfortunately. And it wasn't their. Well, they had better bats.
Yeah.
But they'd lost them or somehow they got missing and they didn't have enough money to do a good bat. So the bats are pretty chintzy in this, unfortunately.
But
they're all right. They're all right. But I would have loved to have seen what they'd come up with originally.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's you kind of give it a little mercy because
I did growing up.
Yeah. It's a little cheesy, but it's cool to kind of see enough bat, even though it's like I don't know. Even even in the earlier versions, even like Bela Lugosi, when the bats are clearly like on a string, and it's like But here it's similar. It's a bigger bat, but it's hokey looking. But I don't know. I give it a pass, really.
Oh no. We did it as a pass, but it's just like the Terrence Fisher talked about how he hated that they couldn't have just gotten a little more money and replaced the bats that they got. I don't know if they got destroyed or lost, or somehow they weren't around. They had some really nice bats.
That really sucks. Yeah, can you imagine losing like those bats? It's probably pretty expensive too.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my god! It's just a dime store bats that they just flapped in the air.
So in a scene, I guess it's probably before there's a kind of a climatic, not really climatic scene, but he goes to the castle like Van Helsing does.
Yes,
and he has a fight in there with the Baron, and it's a cool sequence. It's almost like the end sequence of the horror of Dracula, but there's still
very similar. Yeah,
there's still 30 minutes left.
Sliding the cross down the table and all.
Yeah,
that.
I think it's the same table and everything. If
it
I'm not
was,
mistaken.
it was. They used a lot of props.
Yeah. So that big, it's a cool table. And you notice it right away every time you see it.
The castle interior castle scenes were identical to the sets
of
that they used for Horror Dracula. Just moved around a little bit.
Yeah.
But you can recognize where the big drapes are and stuff.
It's not the same location. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a
no.
different
It's not
castle,
supposed to be. It's just that we're the little geeks that go. I saw that one.
Yeah.
You must reuse that one.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
But they look so great. The art direction in these movies is just phenomenal.
And this is their second time doing the Dracula movie, so we get to see some of this a little bit more elaborate, which is great.
That's right.
I mean, some of the cinematography in this one, even when
it's really
Marianne looking down on the Baron Meister,
yes,
about to commit suicide in her
right.
Those scenes like that are just freaking
some great stuff. Yeah, camera work on this is terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I thought some of these sets, like we've talked to some of the other films in the Hammer Studios. This set in particular is a very cool.
Well, they used it in Horror Dracula. They used it, and then again, Rasputin, Mad Monk, and which I can't remember if this got released with that in Great Britain or not, but they both came out about the same time.
Yeah.
But I think they were on a double bill together when they in Great Britain. Now in the United States, I can't. This one ran on a double bill with something, but I can't remember what it was. But
I still hadn't seen the Rasputin. I've got a copy of that Rasputin one. I haven't watched it yet.
That's an interesting film. It's a cool little film.
It's hilarious when they got Christopher Lee. Like when they cast him in some kind of different ethnicity,
totally
kind
of
like some Fu Manchu thing, or
right. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Do I know?
He did one of the Fu Manchus.
Yeah, he did several of them. I think he has 5 total. He also did there's a Hammer film called The Terror of the Tongs, which he plays a very similar character.
That's true. There's another one. Yeah,
which I actually thought was Fu Manchu. I watched it on this Hammer set, and I thought it was Fu Manchu, and I was like so confused when I was watching the regular Fu Manchus, and I'm like, I know I've seen one of them, but I couldn't figure it out until recently. And then I was like,
I've only seen a couple of the Fu Manchus.
I've only seen I've seen the 2 worst ones because they were on the double DVD.
There was the Castle of Fu Manchu and the Blood of Fu Manchu. Those are the last 2. Was it?
Yeah, I think those were the last 2. Yeah,
I've got them on 4K, and they're like a sight to behold, man. They're like it's something else. So they're not good. That one's better than the Castle of Fu Manchu is rough, but the other one's got enough exploitation stuff in it to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Dave, you're so hilarious.
But speaking of the castles, getting back to the castle, great scene coming up where he meets Mama.
Yeah.
And of course she's covering her mouth, and we can't figure out why is she covering her mouth. That we realize, her teeth have grown a little bit since we last saw her.
Yeah, her character is just tragic, dude.
Oh, I know, yeah, because she's. I love in these movies, and the Hammer ones did this quite a bit, where the victims all felt this type of shame. They're always that's always an underlying emotion in a lot of these movies, like in Horror of Dracula when Mina is slowly being converted, and there's this feeling of sexual excitement but shame at the same time. And with the mother here, it's like this feeling of shame. She doesn't want him to see what her mouth looks like or whatever. And at first, I don't think she knows whether he knows what's going on or not. But once she realizes that, she loosens up a little bit, and now he's the one that can destroy her and put her to peace.
Yeah.
Which he does,
that's.
She almost like she wants him to do it.
Oh, she does. She feels like she's being punished for.
Right. She doesn't try to fight
allowing her son to become what he's become.
That's why
she blames herself for all of the women that have been killed and whatever down the road. So that's
that's a good ending for that character too. I do like what they do with that, especially given
that's perfect.
Like how the aristocratic, very proud woman, and then she's turned into a vampire, which she thinks is beneath her. So
absolutely.
I did look it up. Apparently, this was released on a double bill with the Leech Woman in 1960.
Oh, the Leech Woman! Thank you. I knew it was something. Actually, that's a very underrated film.
I've never seen that one.
It's not a bad movie. I mean, even though the title, you think
remember it.
It's a low budget. It's a low budget film, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, there's no Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing in it.
No, this is all. It's an all-American cast.
Yeah,
but it's I liked it as a kid. Then I didn't see it for years and years and years, and then I did an episode on my podcast of it several years ago, and I watched it again. Thought, okay, this is going to be maybe not so good. It was like,
this
isn't bad. This is okay.
Yeah, I need to check it out.
It's not bad. It's worth a look.
One thing I got a kick out of before the mom thing happens, when he's fighting the Baron, and the Baron he starts to run from him, and he has a big candlestick, and he takes it and throws it on the ground, trying to trip him, and runs off. It's just hilarious to me. It does kind of stall him a little bit, but then he runs out and gets in the carriage and runs off. But these vampires in this, they're strong, but they do seem like once they're under attack, they flee. Once they don't feel like they feel, I guess they feel like they might be overcome by their opponent.
He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day.
So their powers they're powerful, but they're not as powerful.
They have some vulnerabilities. Yeah. Well, and when you're up against, in some of the Dracula films and stuff, and of course the book played into that a little bit about, these vampires that have been around for centuries and have all this wisdom, but then they're up against a guy like Van Helsing, who knows a hell of a lot more than anyone they're going to go up, which makes him such a feared predator. Because he understands what they are, and that's terrifying to them a little bit.
Right. Which later in this film,
and he's a young vampire, so he hasn't lived more than one life.
Right. Which does, like, that kind of plays into what happens near the end of this one. The vampire bites Van Helsing. I guess he comes to that conclusion.
That's the scene, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing you're not expecting in this movie.
Yeah.
No.
Van Helsing
man, I'll never forget the first time I saw this. And I was like I said, I was 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah, and you're like,
and I'm just, my mouth is like, my jaw's dropping to the ground, going, "Oh my God, that can't happen."
I'm surprised the whole sequence hasn't been used in a more modern film. It's like,
I know,
it's a great sequence, and no one's ever bothered to use it again. When he gets bit, and then he wakes up, Van Helsing sees that he's been bit. First thing he does is get that little. It's a fireplace poker. What is it that he grabs?
Yeah, well, it's like,
it looks like a tamper bar is what it looks like.
They're in a windmill or whatever, and but it's like it's a flat iron of some sort on a. But oh my God, it makes me wince every time I see
holy water on it.
And he's just so deliberate. He's like, "Okay, I know what I need to do. This isn't going to be fun." Getting it in there in the red hot, and it comes out red hot. And it's like, here we go.
And lucky for him, not only does it work, but his wound heals immediately right afterwards.
Well, he was fortunate that the priest, when he met the priest in the inn, he said, "Here, son, take this it's holy water. Take it. You may need it." And sure as hell, he needed it. Because once he gets it on the wound, it also miraculously heals itself.
It heals. He's no longer influenced by a vampire.
Right.
Such a great concept.
I loved it. It's still my favorite part of the whole movie.
Another movie.
Oh, what a scene. What a scene. Yeah. And I don't know if that was in the original script or not. It may have been one that Terrence came up with or whatever, but it was like perfect. I mean, it was just because you're in such shock that, oh my God, Van Helsing's going to become a vampire.
Cool because when people first watched this movie, they weren't expecting
I was. I mean, as a kid, it just absolutely horrified. I was like, "Oh my God, no! You can't do this."
Yeah, that would suck. That would suck if Van Helsing got turned into a vampire.
He's not supposed to lose. He's supposed to win. It's like it's like a sports competition. No, dude, that guy can't lose.
Can you imagine if they did that shit though? They just like turned him into a vampire, and then suddenly the next one, he was the main vampire in the next film.
That would be wild.
Have they ever done the Van Helsing where he's the bad guy like that? That would be kind of cool, actually.
No, I don't think so.
I can't think of it. What movie it was? I
can think of a story where he's a bad character and it's called Van Helsing. And don't watch that movie. Don't ever go see that movie.
I like that movie, man. I like it. I agree.
I had so many problems with that movie, though. That's just me personally. But.
I get it, but it's like, to me, it's entertaining though. It's a little. It's big and it looks cool though,
You know what? That gets the Brides of Dracula correct. Hey, if nothing else, that movie gets the Brides of Dracula correct.
It is. It's overbearing. I think though the amount of of action scenes in that and how long they are.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
I mean,
I think that's the thing that got to me more. It's like I don't want an action picture. I want a Dracula picture.
yeah, I mean, but I think that was kind of for the time. It was like that was how they were
Oh,
doing
it
them.
was, yeah. And you got
They
Hugh
did,
Jackman and
yeah,
all that.
did that and the Mummy,
It's
and
by the same
even yeah,
director.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
first time I saw the
Right.
Mummy, which I now like, I hated it because I was just like, this is not what I wanted to see in this horror movie. You know, I didn't want to see all this goofy action. But then later on, I have appreciated it now. But at the first
It's
time, it was I
I
definitely
love
was
those
fighting
fights.
it.
I've been able to stomach the Mummy. I mean that one's okay.
I love
I mean
it.
I'm talking about the contemporary one, not
Yeah.
the,
You know what I really like on the Van Helsing one is the opening sequence, the black and white sequence. That I like the way it opens up
Oh,
and
it's
the
got its
windmill.
moments, but
Yeah.
it wore on me really fast.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
no.
I can see it because even like that sequence with the Brides of Dracula fighting in the village and they're flying, that's pretty cool. But the way I think that someone told me this one time in production, like a producer, like and for it to be an action movie, it has to have a certain number of action scenes. And I don't remember what that number was.
Probably.
Yeah, it's true. It's true though, because for
It
it to be
used
considered an action movie, there has to be a certain number and there have to be a certain length. And so
42.
yeah,
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
It's probably like
42.
8.
Is it 42 the answer to everything?
Yeah, 42. Yeah. From Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's probably like 8 or it's somewhere between 8 to 12, I would assume. But it gets a little overbearing after a while when you want to. Me, I want it to slow down. I like an action scene, but then I want it to slow down and build some characters and
Yeah,
plot and
it's got to be climactic. It's got to
yeah.
have some ebbs and flows to it,
Right,
or
right.
it just gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
There's some ebbing and flowing in there. It's just,
But I will hand it to this film. I think all of the confrontations in this movie are terrific,
Yeah.
and they're not drawn out. I mean, they're
Right.
and of course we just talked about the one where Van Helsing lost
Yeah.
because he's able to save himself, but then it leads up to another big one at the windmill. That's,
Yeah.
one of the great things about these movies is that Van Helsing is always a vulnerable character in these movies. He
absolutely.
eventually overcome them, but you always have those sequences where he almost looks like he's gonna lose that battle, that fight. But
Yes,
he comes
yeah,
back.
yeah.
He gets knocked out, something happens to him. That makes him more vulnerable, and much more of an interesting character. And for me, this whole movie, because of that, makes it much more interesting than some of the other Dracula.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think it's hilarious when the vampire comes back. Like he bites him and he's like, "Okay, you're one of us now," and he leaves. And
Right.
he comes back and he thinks they're like on the team together.
Yes.
You know? And then he's like, so he gets into the surprise of his life at that
Whoops.
point. You know.
And they got I still love the two women who
Yeah.
Dom's girl and Andrea Maley, and that
Yeah.
classic scene with the two of them looking down as he's of course I forgot to our school teacher, she's somewhere
Yeah.
getting ready
The
to
background.
she's passed out somewhere near there, and this great fight between him and the Baron, which ends up in one of the more unique ways that Dracula gets killed in all of these movies, which I thought was pretty interesting.
He catches him on fire. Is that what it is?
Well, he gets his cross gets knocked out of his hands.
Yeah.
And goes and falls where he can't get to it. He falls through the floorboards. And he has the water.
That's right. The holy water. Yeah.
He hits him with the cross, a cross of holy water, and then the way David Peel plays this, he's like an animal, like a wounded animal. The sounds he makes,
right,
have always stuck with me. It's like, oh my God,
yeah.
this is incredible.
The windmill's on fire at that point too.
And
It's a cool scene.
And he has set, the Baron has set everything on fire, and he gets the little gal there, and I totally forget her character's name. They get out onto
Mary Ann. Yeah.
They get up out on the second level of the windmill, and Van Helsing sees that it's in the shape of a cross. It's an old style windmill in the shape of a cross, and it's being lit by this fire that's going on behind him. And he jumps on the windmill and pulls it in such a way that it makes an absolute shadow of a cross and catches the Baron in it, and that kills, that destroys the Baron.
Yeah, unlike the first horror Dracula, it doesn't show him completely dissolve and do all that.
No,
crazy
well, I mean, no,
stuff.
because it's not sun. It's just he dies from the
okay, yeah, that's
spiritual
right.
presence of the because it's still nighttime or whatever.
Yeah. But I guess a lot. I mean, yeah, because a lot of times in these vampire movies, even with the cross, would have the same effect as the sun, and sometimes it depends on the way that.
Yeah, it depends on how it's done. Yeah, because we've seen some movies where he's put the cross on like someone's forehead and it burns across.
Right. So it's but
it was that's one of the more unique ways of destroying a vampire I've seen in this.
With the windmill cross,
yeah, it's sort of unique.
Yeah,
and I figured as a kid, I said, okay, they're going to escape now, and then he'll go down and he'll stake him still because that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, they needed to stake him. He needed to go down there and make sure he was done for.
That's right.
He's got to finish
him off.
Yeah.
Chop off his head is what he's supposed to be doing.
Chop his head off or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, that Mary Ann character comes back and he's consoling her like Van Helsing is. And
because his spell's broken.
Yeah. But that was cool though. But at the same time, it's like, maybe we should go stake him and cut his head off first, and then we could do the cuddling. It's like.
Well, they never think about that.
Cut off his head, then go get some cuddling.
Yes. But
if you notice, this set the trend for this would be the first of many Hammer films that end with something burning up.
Yeah,
not just in the Dracula ones, but like in all of their horror films.
Evil
a lot of the Frankenstein
that,
ones and stuff. Yeah, it's just like everything catches on fire, and you see the end credits running on some mansion or castle or something burning up. That became sort of a running gag amongst those of us that were big Hammer lovers. It's like, they're gonna burn something up here.
Yeah,
it must be the end of the movie.
Yeah. Kind of get you conditioned to know it's the end. Unlike, let's say, Revenge of Frankenstein, that's one of the few ones that I've seen recently that has, like, almost like an epilogue where it doesn't just end.
Yeah.
This one,
it sets the table for the next one.
When most of them just do this scene and it's just like over. It's just like the vampire falls on the ground, boom, Van Helsing puts his hand around the girl.
Yeah.
The end. I think it maybe cuts to one other shot, and then it's like, okay, that's it. We're done.
Yeah. We've told the story.
Yeah.
That for this time period, that's a reoccurring thing where it just ends.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious, though. I mean, because I've kind of gotten to, it's almost, I've seen that happen in some Sherlock Holmes movies, too, with like Basil Rathbone, where it's just like they figured it out. There needs to be, now there would be another scene or something with all the characters, maybe talking about what happened or something. But it's just like, okay, that's it. We're done.
No, Hammer, when they finish a movie, they finish a movie.
Yeah.
That's where we're done. It's funny, Peter Cushing did not originally like the ending.
Really?
Because Terence Fisher had come up with the idea of the windmill and stuff. That was his idea.
Okay. Yeah.
And Cushing thought he said, I don't think that Van Helsing would resort to black magic. Well, I'm not really sure why he thought that. I guess using the spiritual image or whatever, but it was like he was really, and I guess Fisher had to sort of explain, no, it's not black magic that we're using here. This is like Christian symbolism. So, and then he finally came around and thought, oh, okay. But at first he thought it was.
Yeah, I wonder why he did think it was black magic. I don't know. It just wasn't explained very well.
I guess it probably, it was like, Fisher on this film was really notorious for rewriting some scenes just before they shot him.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had to, so they made some of this up as they went along.
Yeah.
If there's some rough spots in this film, it's probably that was one of the reasons.
Wait,
some of the questions we had that didn't get answered.
Sure. And it's weird too, though, like when you say that, because it makes it unique that it doesn't have just a straightforward plot that goes A to B to C. It kind of does, but then it has all these tangents, which kind of open it up to in different ways. Even though, like, if you're thinking, if this was like, if you were to do this and it involved all the characters, like the priest and the doctor, who only show up briefly in certain sections of the film. Yeah. But it's not even like, it's just sort of like, it's kind of cool the way it goes in a way that maybe might be more realistic to to real life, and not everyone's not always going to be involved with every aspect of things.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's got a much more realistic type feel to it. It really does. But there's a lot of things that, like I said, they're going to use in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which would come out 6 years later, that they couldn't use because it was just going to be too expensive or it would stretch it out too long. But I mean, it was a lot of cost cutting type things that they had to do to cut around the original storyline. So
this is very creative work, though.
It is, yeah. That's what I think. That's maybe one thing that makes it so endearing to me over all these years.
Because you can see that while you're watching it, that it's because it's not exactly what you expect it to be. You expect it to be Brides of Dracula, and it's not at all. You know, it's
no,
like
and you get lost in the story, and it's sort of like at the end, you go, "Oh, wait a minute, there were no brides, there was no Dracula." Oh, wow!
Right, yeah.
You know, it didn't matter at that point for me, anyways. It's like, but it was a cool movie.
Like we've said before, that's all the marketing aspect of the films and how well it marketed.
Right, that you're going to get all the horror of Dracula people to come to watch it.
And I would almost say it's more or less a Van Helsing spinoff than an actual Dracula movie. To be honest.
Yeah.
Because they're banking.
Yeah, because there is no Van Helsing in the next one.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't come back for a while.
He doesn't come back until I
think he's in the last 3 that they made.
Yeah, he was. He's not in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, and he's not in Dracula's Risen from the Grave.
Yeah.
So he would come back.
Scars. He's not Scars of Dracula either.
Yeah, Scars and he's not. Oh, Scars is the period piece. No,
it's those last 2, the 1972
maybe,
one.
maybe 1972.
But there's another weird one too that was later. And
there's Taste the Blood of Dracula.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he was in one. It's in one more without Christopher Lee.
And then he's in the Satanic Rites of Dracula. That
one
that
too.
my friend was in. That my friend Pauline was in.
He's in the Legend of the Seven something.
And the Legend of the Seven Vampires.
Yeah, Christopher Lee's not in that one, but but Peter Cushing is. Peter Cushing did 2 without Lee.
And Lee did a bunch without Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Because they had Andrew Keir and Dracula, Prince of Darkness, and then the second one, I can't think of the guy's name now. He's an old British actor that also plays a priest that facing around to Dracula's Risen from the Grave. Yeah. The one with Veronica Carlson.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing probably busy making the Frankenstein films, but couldn't do the Dracula ones. Yeah.
There was I was just saying there's I think a couple of those Draculas he couldn't break a contract or something.
Yeah, but sure he's like the main character in almost all the Frankenstein films except for one of them. So that was a lot of screen time. He's not He's not like Christopher Lee in some of the Dracula films where he's only there briefly. He's in the whole movie. He's the main character.
No, he's always usually the lead. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's just
definitely one of my favorite character actors growing up.
Oh yeah.
Which one? Peter Cushing or Christopher?
Peter Cushing. I was a huge Peter Cushing fan, and I just I liked Edward Everett Sloan's Van Helsing and Bela Lugosi's Dracula, but the Van Helsing that Cushing did was so unique, and it really, really appealed to me. And when I had to do it on stage, it was sort of a combination of both of those guys.
Okay,
there are elements from both of them that I drew off of to try to come up with a unique character.
You ever see the Spanish Dracula from the 1931?
Yes.
Yeah. He's pretty good. The guy that does it in that one does it.
He was excellent. Excellent. Yeah. It's another film, folks. If you've never seen it, it's well worth a watch.
Yeah,
it's
it definitely is.
Easier to find now than it was years ago.
Yeah. The original Dracula Spanish version.
They're the ones they shot at night when they'd shoot the Bela Lugosi one in the daytime, and then they'd wrap for the day, and the Spanish guys would come in at night and use the same sets.
I don't like the Dracula actor as much, but I do like some of the.
No, he's not as strong as Lugosi.
Yeah, but I think some of the supporting stuff from these other characters is fantastic.
It's a damn good movie. Yeah, it's just really done well.
Yeah. But that. Ever Sloan's Van Helsing, I've liked it. I like it more than I used to, but I like his
I
look.
really do like. And he's Dutch.
Yeah,
But Van Helsing is supposed to be Dutch. So.
The thing that always kind of bothered me about him is how slow he moves. Very meticulous, very slow, and it's almost like.
Well, yeah, it was closer to the book because in the book Van Helsing was an older gentleman. And Peter Cushing is a much more physical.
Yeah.
Van Helsing. And of course, he did all his own stunts as well. But he was in his early to mid 40s when he did a lot of those.
Yeah, I think Edward Sloan, when he did it, he was still kind of young and made him look old. It was one of those situations.
Early 50s, maybe late 40s or whatever. Yeah, they made him up to look older. And
but the way that
play him just those 2 times in that and Daughter of Dracula.
But the way he does the scenes, he really drags out the dialogue, which works too. But at the same time, it makes it's just like his very, very the way that he delivers his.
It's a very deliberate style.
Even in the way that he moves very slow. And but actually, I mean, I get it. I like it better now. But there's definitely a point in time when I was watching it, I was like, this needs to be sped up a little bit. but it makes sense that because he's trying to keep control of the situations that are going on.
He's very, very deliberate, very patterned. Yeah.
But this Peter Cushing's, on the other hand, he's more.
I would say frenetic.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
Actually, is a pretty good word.
That's how I've always thought of him. I mean, and he plays Frankenstein. That kind of emotion he brings to Frankenstein a lot too.
Yeah,
we've discussed that
in certain elements of that.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, is there anything else you'd like to speak about this movie for everyone? Make sure we covered everything.
Best Dracula film they ever made. No, I mean Hammer. I think it's one of their strongest. I still love Dracula has risen from the grave. I guess because of Veronica, but these two, that one and Brides, just have always. I always hold Brides up separately because it really is a different animal from the other ones, even though it does have Peter Cushing in it. But it just. Yeah. It's a different type of story, and I just really like the uniqueness of it.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Dave? Any final words?
I don't have any other notes. I think I went over everything. So.
Oh my god. Yeah. So with me, I really enjoy these type of films. I like the fact that they take a different aspect to the continuation of Dracula, and as you listen to us talk about some of the future films, everyone, some of them are direct sequels, some of them are like I call this one a spin-off. This to me is a spin-off, and sometimes they bother to remake whole stories. You don't really see that as much here, but you'll see that in Frankenstein, as we'll get into that much more deeper. But we do hope that you will take the time to stick with us as we kind of go through and develop and learn about these films together. So with that, we always love to kind of rate the films on our little scale of 1 to 5, 1 being great, 5 being amazingly bad. Oh wait, let me flip that. 1 is being bad and 5 being amazingly great. Yeah. Where on the spectrum, guys, do you find this film? I will start with you, Jim, since you were the first one.
Oh yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5 drops of blood. I really love this film. I'm probably grading it higher than a lot of people do, but it's just always has been a personal favorite of mine. What it gave such an impact to me. There's so many things in my own acting life and writing life and stuff like that I've drawn from this film. So yeah, I love this movie.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I'll give it 4 fake vampire bats. So, it's one that's kind of grown on me. I did like it the first time I saw it, but it was kind of hard to. It's not what you expect it to be, but I do appreciate the creativity behind it. The fact that it's not what it originally was supposed to be, and it's probably better for that. I always like it when that happens.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So for everyone out there, I'm gonna give it 4 chained up Baron Munsters.
Munster.
For some reason Munster was in my head.
Think of the cheese.
Yes.
Now, but it's a Munster.
like Dave, I did not really like this film that much. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now, and it's grown on me each time I've watched it.
Yeah, it does grow on you.
It grows,
I think.
and now having to rewatch it with a much more critical, kind of critical eye, I actually enjoy it a hell of a lot more than I ever have before. Mostly because I actually really love the story for this, and knowing all the problems that they had to go through to make this film, and it come out the way it did, from the cinematography, from the sets, from the actors. I mean, this one I think is much better than a lot of people give it credit for.
And it made more money than horror. In the long run, it ended up making more money than horror.
Well, I kind of see this movie kind of like Halloween 3. It's season. It's
that's a good analogy. I think that's a very good analogy.
It's an outsider to the rest of the movie franchise, and I think that's what makes it so damn good.
Yes.
So that's why I guarantee you, I'm gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna think even more of it, like I did Halloween 3. I think it took 5 or 6 times for me to watch that as a kid, to really love that movie, and now that's really one of my.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Halloween 3 because that's my favorite Halloween film.
Yeah.
I love it. But this is one of those rare films that every couple of months I'll pull it out. I've got a beautiful Blu-ray edition of this, and we'll pull it out. It's been just restored so beautifully, and
for
just
the
sit down
Brides
and
of
watch
Dracula.
it. And I just never get tired of it.
I just got it. I hadn't watched it yet, but I did get the Blu-ray. I had I do have another Blu-ray from. It's like a Hammer set. It's a Bluray, but apparently the aspect ratio is the aspect ratio is not right. The Hammer, the Shout Factory one, the one you probably have is a lot better.
Yes,
than one I've read.
Yes, it is. It's unbelievably. It's as good as if I could have. I've never seen this on a big screen in a theater, but I imagine it. I don't know if this was a 4K Blu-ray that I've got or not, but it sure looks as good as one.
Yeah. Well, there's the only version, the best version out right now is the one from Scream Factory.
Yeah, Scream Factory's got the best one. Yeah.
But it's I believe it might be a 4K transfer, but I don't know if it's definitely not really 4K. But they need to do like they done for Curse of Frankenstein that's come out soon. They need to do a restoration of this. I think if the other ones,
they should.
If they, I don't know who owns the rights to this. Well, I think because there's several of them, like this one and Revenge of Frankenstein, and some of the other ones are owned by different people.
Yeah, I think this was one of the ones that was released in the United States from Seven Arts, but I'm not sure who's got those now.
But I will say though, Halloween 3 is probably my second favorite Halloween film. I really like that one myself. We did one on it last year. We did that one. And I did a video on it on my YouTube channel too, and we talked about it. I really like that one, Halloween 3.
Yeah, we did it on this show.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
The original Conversations in Horror.
Yeah.
This is one of the first ones I think I did with you guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
So for everyone who's listening who has not listened to our original podcast, Conversations in Horror, we don't ever really do the movies in order of their preference or how they were produced, like we are doing here with the Hammer films. So there's random ones in those franchises that we've done, and we still haven't filled in the blanks. But here,
real quick, I was looking this up on the Scream Factory release. It has a new 2K scan from the Inner Positive, which is still good. It's strong.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, because the original camera negative is what you want, so you could regrade it. But if you have the Inner Positive, it already has the grading, so they don't have to regrade it.
Yes,
but it doesn't give them the option really to regrade it. But it's still that's the second best you could do. But it's only a 2K scan, which is still strong. But hopefully they'll eventually do a 4K.
I know it looks really good.
Yeah, I look forward to checking it out.
Remember we keep talking that they need to put all of these together in one huge, amazing box set because of the fact that they're owned by different companies.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty freaking hard. Unless it's a region B.
Yeah, because some of them are Warner Brothers, and I think Warner's picked up the Seven Arts ones when they went out. Because I don't think they're in business anymore. But they were like one of the first deals that Hammer had with a United States distributor.
Yeah,
but it seemed like now Warner shows up on a lot of them.
Yeah, I know the Mummy is Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some rights issues going on with a lot of these. That's why they can't.
Yes.
But I do Hammer. They do have their site up, and you could buy some of. They're starting to release these as Hammer releases. I don't know how many they actually have rights to, but so far they put out the Quartermasses and Four-Sided Triangle, and they're doing Curse of Dracula. So they do have the rights to. I mean, it's good to have the rights to Curse of Frankenstein.
Curse of Frankenstein.
Curse of Frankenstein. Because it's good to have the rights to that, which is Warner Brothers does have the rights to that originally.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But I want to see more of them, more restored versions of these.
Oh yeah. I definitely want to see the Quatermass stuff. I'd love to see that in 4K.
Well, they got the first two of them. The Quatermass Experiment. They don't have the Quatermass in the Pit yet, but they got the first two.
No, and that one I can't wait to get on 4K. Oh my god, that's my favorite one of the three.
They have it on Blu-ray from Shout Factory.
There's Blu-ray on it. I've got a DVD version of it right now. I haven't upgraded, but I decided I'm just going to wait for the 4K.
Yeah. That's where I'm at too. I'm like, because it's like why bother? You buy the Bluray and then they'll release the 4K next week.
When I broke down and bought a 4K TV a couple of years ago, it's like, okay, now I can
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's like you get the Blu-ray and then suddenly they release a 4K and the Blu-ray is not worth anything anymore hardly, and it's like I'll just wait for the best version and then get it, and then
Oh my god!
Oh, I'm just waiting to probably I got the TV and then I got the player, the 4K player, and it does make a little bit of a difference. I didn't think it would, but and now they'll probably come out like with 8K or 16K or so. It's like, oh crap!
Right. I was pushing on the Blu-ray. I'm like, why do you need to have it like border quality? I mean, the DVD looks fine. Then you see the Blu-ray, all right, it's a little better. But then you see the 4K, you're like, that's a lot better.
Yeah. No, I was my buddy Mark Maddox talked me into. He kept talking to me, and I said, no, this is fine. And then I had to replace the TV, and the 4K was not that expensive. It was like, I remember calling him saying, "You were right. There is a difference."
What they're doing now is they've got this Dolby Vision and HDR gradings on the 4K.
Oh, you definitely can tell on the sound.
But that's not. No, that's actually Dolby Vision.
But Dolby Vision. But I'm talking about
you can definitely tell the sound for sure. But the Dolby Vision has which HDR grading, high dynamic range. It looks different HDR. Though. There's actually, it's kind of annoying because suddenly they're doing Blu-rays, 4Ks that don't have it before. Now that's their newest upgrade is the HDR. And then suddenly it's like you watch it and you're like, I started to be able to tell the difference between it now. I'm like, oh God, I see.
That's amazing.
I see the difference because look at the people's, like the skin tones, they're just look so much more lifelike, and it's like that's what they say it looks like. And once you see
it's almost three-dimensional.
That's
what it reminds me of. It's like sitting in a window watching actually stuff happening outside or whatever. It's really wild.
Well, I guess we should let Kevin in this since we're talking about something completely off the subject.
So
what else is new? Yeah, what else? We do this all the time.
I was letting talk about it because we every once in a while we do go off on a tangent in which we talk about the versions of the films that you can purchase out there because we are all collectors. And Dave is like our specialty 4K person. And watch his separate show. What was your separate show again?
Yeah, I just call it Watkins Films. A review 4K disc typically. Sometimes Blu-rays. It depends on what's available. The best available version of the movie is what I try to go for.
Well, yeah. So that's the thing about our conversation is if you're gonna want a great version of some of these movies, especially these movies. Kind of, we'll go into that whenever we can. So you know that there are good versions and bad versions of these films, and I have bad versions because most of mine are DVD. I can't wait to start purchasing my 4K versions of movies for my 4K TV and player now. But with that, guys, I want to thank you for joining us on this Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, in which we discussed yet another Dracula film, Brides of Dracula. It's not what you expect, but it's probably much better than what you're thinking. Also, from all of us here, make sure to check out our original podcast, Conversations in Horror, which is available on all your favorite podcast apps, Spotify, and YouTube. And make sure to check out our sister podcast, Conversations in 4Color, which delves deep into comic books, manga, and graphic novels. That is on our Patreon page, which is for our exclusive subscribers and followers. So you must subscribe and follow in order to listen to that one. But we hope that you do, because it's worth listening. Now, with that, I would like to hope that you will stick with us as we delve more into the rest of the Dracula franchise that Hammer built. With that, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next one.
Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.